Hello and welcome to ACS Golf and this week's review in a very sunny office. I'm definitely being blinded by the sun. I hope you're not going to be blinded by the sun while watching this. However, I'm not going to complain about the weather because it is beautiful over here in the UK at the moment. Perfect golf weather, and hopefully it means we're going to get a bit of an Indian summer and therefore prolong the golf season this year. Because if you're watching this in UK, you will know that it gets pretty grim in autumn and definitely over winter. If you do get on a golf course, sometimes it's not fun at all. But anyway, the show must go on. Now, the club I'm reviewing today is this. Is the Taylormade UDI Sim driving iron, basically. So UDI's Ultimate Driving Iron from 2020. Now, the reason I picked this up is a couple of weeks ago, I did a competition down at the Isle of Purbeck. If you never played there, it is great. It's on the south coast near Poole. So one of my, basically my events that I do for the Putting Kings, which is sort of the society that I'm in. And it can get very windy there. It's really a links course. It's a little bit inland, but it is a links course. So I wanted to try a 2-iron potentially to take it out there to keep that ball under the wind. Give me a club that I can use off the tee in case the wind really did pick up and just, the driver was too high or fairway wood was too high, just to give me an option. In the end, I didn't actually take it out and the wind did pick up. I did manage to get away with it a little bit. I came third overall, so I'm generally happy with that. However, I still think this could be a great option, especially for people who are looking for that sort of club off the tee to really be consistent with. So, as always, what we're going to do is we're going to have a closer look at the club. We're going to come back here, go for all the technology. Then we're going to get down the range, throw some figures at you, and then we'll come back here for the ACS golf scale and my overall thoughts about this and why potentially it could be a good time to pick this up, especially the fact that the new Taylormade UDI has currently just come out. All right, guys, let's have a closer look at this club. So there you go, a closer look at the club. And I do quite like the looks of it, to be fair. It is a driving iron, so it's a little bit more chunky than your normal iron. However, it's not that big. They did this and they did the DHY, which the idea of the DHY was a driving hybrid, so a lot more chunkier than this. So this specifically was for that sort of better player, something that's not that big, but, well, basically something that looks like an iron. And that's what they wanted, so the ultimate driving iron. Now let's go into the technology that's in this club. Now, reading off from TaylorMade's website, you can actually still get this from their website in the US actually for $150, I just noticed on their website. But anyway, so the Sim UDI, shaped for versatility, inspired by tour. There's a critical part of your set that needs to be addressed. That space between your longest playable iron and your shortest fairway wood. With the Sim UDI, we're giving you the confidence to take on these long approach shots and the versatility to attack off the tee. The ultimate driving iron, designed with the insights from the best, their game's best players. The Sim UDI is truly the ultimate driving iron. It can bring a new dimension to the upper end of your bag as a complement to fairway woods, rescues, or long irons. So going into, the whole point of this is a piercing ball flight with a confident, inspiring shape at the dress. The Sim UDI is a powerful option for players who demand control and versatility in the longer game. Precise CG placement promotes a more penetrating ball flight and it goes sting as anyone. Fast has never felt better, so ball speed is paramount, feel is essential. A combination of a forged C300 face. So a lot of these clubs, especially TaylorMade, you'll see forged down the side there. You just see it there. Doesn't mean the club is actually forged itself, it's just the face. So do be aware of that. A lot of clubs now are doing that where they're actually just, making the face forged to improve the feel. However, it's not the whole club that is forged, so you'll never quite get the feeling of a fully forged club. But then with driving irons, you're never going to really necessarily find a fully forged club because the whole point of a driving iron is to have a little bit more forgiveness, maybe a cavity inside, etc. And it's very difficult to do that with just a complete forged head. So, as I say, combination of a forged C300 face, speed foam within a hollow body So I meant hollow body, construction rather than a cavity bag. There you go. And a through slot speed pocket. There you go. Allows the Sim UDI to push the limits of ball speed while maintaining premium feel. The inverted cone technology provides a wide, sweet spot and protects speed across the face. So just literally just going completely into all the tech. So tool validated shape. So tool inspired shaping with a refined, straighter leading edge and a moderate sole width for improved turf interaction. Minimal offset and a thinner top line preferred by better players encourage greater confidence at address and enhanced workability. Got the speed foam in here like you do with all, your P790s, etc. as well. So an ultralight urethane foam injected inside the head that's engineered to push the design limits of the face, speed, while simultaneously improving feel. Hollow body construction. Well, you need the hollow body construction anyway to get the speed foam in there. Delivers clean aesthetics while also allowing for a lower and forward CG placement for a powerful and penetrating ball flight. So rather than having mass up here, really keep it down at the bottom because you want the ball to come out low. If you have the mass near the top of the club of your head, it's going to help get that ball up in the air, which you don't want, especially from a 2-iron. Forged C300 face with ICT, so lightweight, ultra thin face, forged from C300 steel, allows for a strong face and explosive ball speeds. Engineered with inverted cone technology for enhanced sweet spot to promote a higher, straighter ball flight. And as I mentioned, you've got a through slot speed pocket. Our most flexible speed pocket designed is engineered to maximize ball speeds and provide forgiveness on low face shots. And going into this, so they had quite a few ranges, and this is what Taylormade do very well. They really do cater for every sort of player. You had the P790 UDI, which is a lot smaller, less forgiving. You can only get that in a 2-iron. Forgiveness for them, they gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. T was a 5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely a club for a T. Fairway 2 exactly, and rough and other 1. So that P790 was literally very much for the better player off the tee. And then they brought in the Sim UDI. You can get a 2 and a 3-iron. So again, max out there. So this is 18 degrees and a 3-iron is 20 degrees. Get it in right hand and left hand. Launch is mid-low. Spin is low. They say handicap to 0 to 15. I think that's fair enough. I think always with these things, if you're a very good ball striker with your longer clubs and you can still be handicapped 20 plus because you can't putt to save your life, you can still get on with it. So don't be pigeonholed by your handicap because there could be parts of your game that you're all flat that is keeping your handicap up, while other parts of your game you're actually very good and probably just as equal as other guys with lower handicap. So do be aware of that. Forgiveness, they've given it a 3 out of 5. I'll get into my ACS Golf sort of decision about that later. Again, T 5-star. Fairway 3 out of 5. I personally think maybe the fairway's even a bit less than that, especially in the 2-iron. 3-iron probably not, but 2-iron it's very difficult, especially something like this UDI driving iron. Very difficult to hit off it if you're an average golfer, such as myself. And then rough other 2-star out of 5. I'm not surprised because it's the loft. If you're in rough, you need the loft help to help get it out of the rough, unless you've got an absolute mean swing on you and you can really generate that ball speed. And then obviously, they're going for further down the road, handicap 0.25, the Sim DHY, and then they've got their rescues as well. So lots and lots of options out there, which I love about Taylormade. They really do cater for the whole spectrum of players there. But there you go. So there's all the technology that is in the Taylormade UDI Sim. Let's get down to the range now. I'm going to throw some figures at you, and then we're going to come back here for the ACS Golf Scale. All right, see you in a bit. So here I'm down the range with the 2-iron. Now let's jump straight into those figures. So on average, I had a carry of 198 yards, total distance of 226 yards, ball speed 130 miles per hour, launch angle 15 degrees, and height 72 feet. Overall, really happy with the performance of this club. I had a consistency of using it of 75%, which just meant that all my shots, as you can see from the shot traces, were relatively in the same position, which is brilliant. There was obviously a little bit of deviation there. My shortest was only 211 yards, while my longest was 245 yards because it rolled out for 45 yards, which is quite ridiculous. Obviously, just really low piercing ball flight, that one, and just didn't have any spin on it, so it just kept on rolling. But overall, it just really was impressive. You know, the whole point of a 2-iron, in my mind, is off the tee, is to keep it low out the wind, which this does, and to be consistent. So you're finding fairway after fairway, and that's exactly what I was doing. You know, if it only goes 211 yards, I'm happy with that. If it goes 245 yards, I'm happy with that. You know, and all the others were around that sort of that 226 mark on average. You know, near that carry of 200 as well. Just really, really good, consistent performance from this club. Here are the figures, just in a quick table for you guys. Now, as you can see, the average is there, 226. Longest was 245, just rolled out. Obviously, just came at a lower angle and was spinning less, so you got a massive roll on it. And then the shortest, which wasn't a great hit at all, was only 211. But overall, very consistent numbers there, so really happy. So there you go, and some really not bad figures at all. And one thing that really, really did impress me is obviously, you know, from this 2-iron, you know, average carry of 198 yards, total distance of 226 yards, ball speed around that 130 miles per hour mark. Launch 15 degrees, thought it might be a bit lower than that, but I think with my iron, I was just getting up in the air a little bit more than I wanted. And height 72 feet. But, you know, it was so tight. The shots was just exactly the same. The draw that came in out. Don't get me wrong, there were some horrendous shots where it was nothing to do with the club. It was just me being awful because, you know, it is a 2-iron. 2-irons are hard to hit. And I did struggle with it. But when I was getting the sweet spot and getting it near the middle, it performed really well. You know, and that dispersion, I had 75%. 75%, everything was just so close together down at the range. And to be honest, it would have been higher. So I would have had a dispersion even tighter. The only reason it was a little bit low because I had one where the hit wasn't that great, so I only went 211. But again, exactly the same distance. It was right smack in the middle of those shots. It was just a little bit closer to me. And then I had one that just rolled out for miles, went 245 yards. You know, if you get rid of that 245 yard one, you know, we're talking dispersion was probably about 85%. It's just, it was so tight. I was so impressed with just how consistent this club really was. You know, everything else was around that average of that 226 yards. It was amazing. Really, really shocked actually about how good it was when it came down to just being consistent. But anyway, let's get into the ACS goal scale. So remember, we got distance, field, looks, price, and forgiveness. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. So distance-wise, I've given this a 4.5 out of 5. I think for a 2-iron, it is very good. You know, for me to get up to that 226 yards on average, you know, that's really sort of getting close to my 3-wood. My 3-wood might be a little bit longer than that. So really, really happy with the distance there. You know, definitely an 18-degree club. You know, my 5-wood, I don't think I'd even get my 5-wood as long as this, to be fair. Really, really happy with that distance. So I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5. I haven't necessarily given it 5 out of 5 because it didn't beat my 3-wood. It didn't beat this. But I do think you'll struggle to find something that's longer than this, to be fair. So even though I've given it 4.5 out of 5, it might be a 5 out of 5. I mean, it's Taylormade. It's a UDI. It's an ultimate driving iron. They are one of the longest out there in majority of their longer clubs. So giving it a 4.5, but it might be a 5 to be honest. I just don't like sticking in the 5s there just in case I come across something in the future that is an absolute monster. But yeah, I think you'll struggle to find something that is longer than this, even the newer ones, to be fair. I think the newer ones will probably have a little bit more forgiveness, but I don't think they're going to have any more distance in there. Going to feel, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It is a forged face. Out the middle, it felt relatively quite nice, not soft and not hugely firm, you know, quite powerful. But I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I personally just prefer a softer feeling. You know, I've done a review of the Srixons, or 2 Srixon utility irons, which felt lovely out the middle. This just felt a little bit more firmer for me. So 3.5 out of 5. A lot of you guys watching this will probably prefer the feel of this over something too soft, but for me, 3.5 out of 5. However, what I will add is once you get it in the middle, you know it's in the middle. Slight off it, you know a slight off it. And big misses, you know are big misses. I mean, it stings the hands a bit. So the feedback from this club as well is awesome. It's very, very good. So even though feel is 3.5 out of 5, if I was going to do a feedback category, I'd give it 5 out of 5 because I knew exactly, you know, how bad that miss was. which I like. I personally like, I want to know straight off the bat, if I hit a ball, I'm going to be looking up and going, I know that's not going to go X, Y, and Z. I know I'm going to be punished. And there's nothing worse for me anyway, of a club that feels exactly the same across the face. You put a bad swing on it, you don't know if it's going to get to the target, it's going to be short, it's going to be doing this or whatever. And you have that little bit of disappointment when you go, oh, hold on, that hasn't got to the green, or, that hasn't gone 200 yards down the fairway. So I really do like the feedback of this club. Looks wise, looks are good at 4 out of 5. For a driving iron, it is really nice. There's not that much behind it when you look down on it. So there's not a big chunk behind it, which I like. Never been a massive fan of having slots on the back of these. I know they're for low on the face hits to keep that ball speed up, and they are really good technology. But I just I'd rather just sort of try to silver that out personally. And also when it comes down to it, it's an iron for me. I understand doing it for woods and hybrids, but I don't like the idea of it being called a sim, especially the fact this went over 2 years and then they replaced it with the stealth, which went over 2 years. The new ones they brought out, they don't have. They're not calling it the QI, for example. Just that name there. So 4 out of 5. I think it's a good looking club, but just a few maybe issues there, which I personally would change. But I like the black line there as well. I think that's pretty cool. But again, maybe is it aging that well? Everything seems to be sort of one colour now, so maybe it's not aging brilliantly, even though it is only 4 years old. Going on to forgiveness. Forgiveness for me, if I'm talking from this aspect from a utility iron. If I was comparing this to a hybrid, then its forgiveness would be right down the bottom because it is a driving iron. It's not a hybrid. So if you don't get it in the middle of this club, you are going to be punished. If you're not a good ball striker, do not pick this club up. It took me quite a while. I am, 8 handicapper at the moment. So I wouldn't, I'm obviously not a perfect ball striker at all. I am very much your average golfer. And took me a while to get used to this. It took me a while to find that middle of the club, And so for me, I wouldn't be putting this in the bag because I just wouldn't have the confidence with it personally. However, for what it is, and for the ball flight being so consistent and everything like that, for a utility iron, I think the forgiveness is pretty good. I would say it's 3 out of 5 for forgiveness. I agree with Taylormade's sort of their spreadsheet there. I would say it's 3 out of 5 for forgiveness. If I was comparing it to a hybrid, it wouldn't be. It would be like down 2 or something like that. But for a driving iron, forgiveness of this club is pretty good. And if you're watching this, I'm guessing you're looking at that aspect of a driving iron and not comparing it to a hybrid, because a hybrid is going to have a lot more forgiveness than this, as you would expect. Moving on to price. So price of this, secondhand on places like secondhand shops over here in the UK, such as Golf Bidder, start off at £89. That is a 3 iron, no, not a 2 iron. 2 irons tend to go a little bit more. So £89, talking around $111. On eBay, they're going for £77, £90, £92, £100. So really sort of a range of 70, basically, let's say £80 to £100. So you're talking about, say, what, $95 to $125, which I think is pretty good. So I've given it a 3.5 out of 5 for price, because it is a very good club. If you're looking for a utility iron, you're looking for that consistent tee club, this is great. And you're a really good ball striker with good ball speed, this is a fantastic club and a really good option there. I'm not giving it higher because I think you can spend probably maybe 10 to 15, 10 to 15 pounds, maybe even 10 to $15 more and get the stealth version. I know the stealth version had a little bit more forgiveness than this club. Because yes, as I mentioned before, it is a 3 out of 5 for a utility iron for forgiveness wise. But if you're not a good ball striker, you're not going to enjoy hitting this at all. So there you go. And there is the ACS golf scale for it. So what are my overall thoughts about this Sim UDI? Overall thoughts, I think is a very, very, very good utility driving iron. I think if you're a low handicapper or anyone who strikes their irons really well and their longer clubs, I think this is a great option off the tee. I think it's just so consistent. Like I mentioned, like ball shape and the distance of just boom, 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 boom. If you're on a tight fairway, you're going to hit the middle of the fairway and you know exactly how far it's going to go. So I think that is brilliant about it. I think hitting it off the deck is a lot harder. Again, it's an 18-degree iron, so unless you've got a really fast swing, you're just going to struggle to get it up in the air if you don't make a good contact. And the difference is as well, when you're hitting this off a tee, you're hitting it a little bit further up the face. If you're hitting this, off the fairway, you might be hitting it lower down the face. And I did do quite a quite a bit of testing where personally I was hitting it just basically off the fairway, you'd say, so just off the mat and not off the tee. And I saw a big drop in my numbers. I was not averaging 226. I was more down that sort of 210 mark because I was getting it right off the bottom runs, and the forgiveness there isn't built for that. But it was still going straight, so happy days there. So yes, my overall thoughts, great utility iron. Just make sure you are a good iron player, basically. If you're watching this and you're an average golfer such as myself, or you don't strike your irons very well, but you're still looking for something you want to use off the tee, I would say a hybrid. I have a hybrid. I've got a 3 hybrid, which I can use off the tee. Again, very consistent. Maybe not consistent numbers-wise as you get with a utility iron, but the difference is I can use that on the fairway with ease and get that ball popped in the air, while this I would struggle with. But don't get me wrong, it is a great iron. It's just not for me. Alright guys, now I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do remember to give it a like if you did. Remember to hit that subscription button so you do not miss out on weekly ACS golf reviews. We've got lots of more stuff to come. One review every week and a few extra videos as well thrown in until the end of this year. And do comment down below, do you play a driving iron? Do you play a 2 iron? Do you get on with it? Do you use it off the fairway? I'd love to know your thoughts. Alright guys, I'll see you soon for the next ACS golf video. See you then. Bye-bye.